When it comes to buying a fast car on a tight budget, quite a good number of people opt for local used cars that are within their price range. Let's assume you have a budget of around 500,000 shillings and below. Mostly the cars that will rank highly in most people's lists are the likes of the Corona Premio, Toyota Carina, Corolla 110, Nissan B15, among others. And it's easy to see why first-time car buyers on a tight budget prefer these vehicles. It's because of their low cost maintenance, reliability, space, and efficiency. But did you know that there is a car that is seriously worth considering, but many people actually don't even know that it exists? And this is partly because it's not necessarily a common car on Kenyan roads. Which car am I talking about? It's the Toyota Voltz. This is a compact hatchback that was produced in Japan between 2002 to 2008. It was also sold in the USA as the Pontiac Vibe. So why is this car actually better than the other vehicles I've just mentioned? Stick around to find out. As always, if you find this content helpful, please do consider subscribing to the channel for more informative content on cars as well as bikes. Welcome to IK Auto Reviews. So this compact hatchback is unique in the sense that it has very good ground clearance that you will not have to do any modifications. It sits higher off the ground, thereby giving you a good view of the road ahead compared to the other hatchbacks and saloons. It's absolutely reliable, it's decently spacious, and most importantly, it's quite affordable to also buy. So straight away, what engine options can you get in this car? There is only one, which is an 1800cc four-cylinder engine coded as the 2ZZ. Now there's also a 1ZZ with the same 1800cc displacement, but here comes the difference. The 2ZZ was built in Japan in collaboration with Yamaha, and this engine had a larger bore and shorter stroke compared to the 1ZZ. This one ZZ, on the other hand, was built in the US, so the engine you can get locally is the 2ZZ, and it's available in either front or all-wheel drive. The front-wheel drive variants produces around 126 horsepower to 130 horsepower, while the all-wheel drive variant produces about 118 horsepower. These are not groundbreaking figures, especially for an 1800cc engine, but do also keep in mind that this is a light vehicle, so the power to weight ratio is not too bad. Something else is that these mainstream non-performance older engines were built in such a way that even though they were big, they did not produce so much horsepower, and this was a good thing because they did not feel strained at all, and the main advantage of this was absolute reliability. This car is seriously reliable. In fact, there are no significant issues worth pointing out. Maybe just a bit of oil consumption, especially on vehicles that have very high mileages, but generally it's a very dependable car. It's not like some of the engines we have nowadays that have small displacements, yet they produce a lot of horsepower at the expense of reduced engine lifespan. Now, in terms of power, it's good enough. As I've just said, the power to weight ratio is decent, so it feels decently powerful off the line. Power is transmitted to the wheels via a 4-speed automatic or a very rare 5-speed manual. You can expect a figure of around 13 kilometers per liter on average, depending on how you drive. It's not what I would call very efficient, but neither is it too bad. Always remember that good efficiency also depends on how well the car has been maintained over the years. So before you decide to buy, it's important to conduct a mechanical inspection to ascertain the mechanical health of the car. The fuel tank capacity on this car is about 50 liters. Then as for suspension, the ride quality is good enough. It gets McPherson struts at the front and a torsion beam setup at the back. Now, ground clearance on this car is quite good. It's among the few old school hatchbacks that you can buy and drive without having to modify the clearance, which measures in at around 170 millimeters. It's above the recommended 165 millimeters, so that's quite good. As for stopping power, it gets ventilated discs at the front and drums at the back. It's very sufficient for this kind of car, which is actually light. Speaking of its lightness, it weighs around 1250 kgs. Now, how about the price? Depending on the condition and model here, you can expect to part with between 450 to a maximum of around 650,000 shillings, but with even around 550, you can still get a very good example. As for the exterior design, I think it looks okay. It has a raised posture. Then the body cladding also makes it look more rugged. I also do like the roof rails, which by the way are functional. They help to give that vibe of ruggedness and toughness. Something else worth pointing out is that its tailgate can open in two ways. If say you just have something small that you want to put in the boot, you can just open the rear window, but if you want to put in something bulkier, you can open the entire tailgate. It's a really nice feature. Moving on into the interior, it's decently spacious, and I also like the fact that it sits slightly higher compared to other saloons and hatchbacks. The dash design is basic but in a good way. It's a very simplistic dash design that is very straightforward. No unnecessary buttons and controls. You just have the simple and easy to use AC controls, and that's it. The seats are manually operated but are pretty comfortable. So generally nothing much to talk about. So what are the strong points of this car? Good ground clearance, good reliability, good space and practicality and ease of maintenance. Something else is that this is a car that is very unlikely to get stolen. Don't forget that some of these older vehicles are still thief magnets. Cars such as the NZD Corolla 110 are still on the radar of some car thieves. So this Voltz is among the few old school cars that will give you peace of mind, in the sense that you won't have to keep peeping through your window to check if it's still there. The only weak point is that some of its body parts can be a bit challenging to get, but you can always get them from our neighboring countries like Uganda and Tanzania, because this car is more common in those countries. So there you have it. I hope this has been helpful. Will you buy a Toyota Voltz? Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Personally, I would buy it instead of a Toyota Corolla 110 or an NZD or Nissan B15. Thanks a lot for watching. As always, if you have any inquiries, feel free to reach me via WhatsApp or email. That's it for today. Stay safe, ride and drive safe, and see you in the next one.